On this channel over the past year, I've embarked on a supplement journey to see if I can recover my hormones to that of a healthy 24-year-old. And after successfully boosting my testosterone 97% in the previous month, it was time to test the most recommended testosterone boosting supplement of the last couple of years, Tongkat Ali.
Tongkat Ali. Tongkat Ali.
Tongkat Ali.
This is my 90-day review and guide to Tongkat Ali. But before we get into the before and after results and see how much it boosts my testosterone and how absolutely jacked I got, watch this video in its entirety because it is definitely a potent supplement that can have dramatic effects on your body's physiology, for better or for worse. So the first thing you need to know is, what actually is it? Well, Tongkat Ali, Eurycoma longifolia, longjack, they're all names for the same plant that hail from Southeast Asia, where it's been used for centuries as an aphrodisiac for loss of sexual desire and impotence, as well as treat a range of ailments including depression, malaria, high blood pressure, and fatigue, even being called by some as Malaysia's homegrown Viagra. The plant itself forms a massive underground root system that produces compounds that are bioavailable to us humans. The main compound considered to contribute to most of the effects being Eurycoma. So what exactly are the effects that it can have? The main positive effects that are actually backed by science, as well as a lot of anecdotal data, include reduction in stress levels, increased levels of testosterone, and increased libido and male fertility. This study found significant improvements in participants' stress profiles after taking 200 milligrams a day for 4 weeks. They noticed decreased levels of tension, anger, and confusion, as well as a 16% decrease in stress levels and a 37% increase in testosterone. This next study also speaks of hormonal increases. Although most studies with Tongkat Ali and testosterone have been done in aging men or people with low levels of testosterone, this study was done on healthy individuals having 600 milligrams a day over 2 weeks. It resulted in 15% higher levels of testosterone and 34% increase in free testosterone. And this final benefit includes increased libido and male fertility. This study shows a perceived increase in erectile function, sexual libido increased by 14%, increased sperm motility and semen volume. Also an added bonus of significantly improved fat mass loss. And the negatives. The negatives are the same negatives that come along with just about every single supplement taken in wrong dosages or things like that. It does seem that Tongkat Ali is really well tolerated. You'd need to chug about 5 bottles of capsules just to reach the level for toxicity, which I hope no one ever does and definitely recommend against doing. Next, there is potential for hair loss, which is not really as scientifically backed as some of the positives, but this is much more of like a semi-common anecdotal experience that seems to pop up now and again, and that is hair loss. So we don't know if it's because of increased levels of DHT, which I think is kind of unlikely, but nevertheless it could be happening, or it could be telogen effluvium, which is temporary hair loss just caused by fluctuating levels of hormones within the body. So what's the optimal dosage? Most studies just give 100 milligrams to 600 milligrams per day for the entire duration of the study. Andrew Huberman says that,
I've never cycled it. Do you recommend cycling it?
I don't see any reason to cycle it. There is a reason to cycle some supplements, but no reason to cycle Tongkat.
but it's almost unanimously agreed upon by most health professionals to cycle all supplements to some extent. Even Andrew Huberman said that in other clips. There does seem to be a dose-dependent effect, meaning that the higher the dose, the more of an effect it will have. That is only up until a certain point where having more does not gain much more of an effect. If you've got to have double the dosage to receive a 2% increase in effect, it's generally not worth it. So what you want to try for is this part of the curve, which is the safest. As for Tongkat Ali in particular, we know that the percent of Eurycoma is very important, and because every supplement has a different amount in their product, dosing can be very different across the board. If you take nootropics depots like I did, you will follow the curve on the left because it's a higher potency product. And if you follow a less potent brand, you'd likely have to look at the graph on the right and pray that they're actually telling the truth about what's in the product. Nevertheless, always check that the supplement company has proof of their supplements being tested by an external lab. But like all supplements, you should be aiming for the minimal effective dose to receive your desired outcomes in an effort to decrease any potential negative outcomes, with the added bonus of saving a bit of extra money, which leaves us to the two most common cycles, which is 5 days on, 2 days off. So take it every day throughout the week, have a rest on Saturday, Sunday, or go 3 weeks on, 1 week off. That can be a 200 to 400 milligrams if you're using a higher potency supplement, or 400 to 800 milligrams with a lower potency supplement. Now, does it increase muscle mass? You increase it by going to the gym every single day or multiple times per week consistently over a long period of time. There isn't a magic pill that's going to get you up and get you out working out in the gym and working on bettering yourself. If you haven't found your routine yet and you struggle with consistency in going to the gym or in other areas of your life, I'm going to be taking on a few extra clients this month for one-on-one sessions and calls with me to help you reach your goals. Sign up at masterretention.com if you guys are interested in working together. Now, in saying that, I know what you really want to know is, does supplementing Tongkat Ali increase your total tissue accrual and levels of hypertrophy by supplementing with it? Well, the studies do indicate that that is the case. This study indicated that both strength and muscle mass increases were seen in a group of men taking 100 milligrams of Tongkat Ali per day for 5 weeks, more than the placebo group. The strength went up 6.78% compared to only 2.77% in the placebo group. And the Tongkat group also had an average bicep circumference increase of 1.8 centimeters compared to 0 centimeters, indicating that you can expect larger levels of hypertrophy and strength while taking Tongkat Ali than without. Now on to my results. Dosing schedule I did for the first month was every day, 2% Eurycoma 200 milligrams per day. I saw an immediate effect followed by a noticeable flatline by the last week. When I say flatline, it wasn't like everything just went down and back to normal. It was more that this was my new baseline and I wasn't noticing the effects as much, but they were still present, if that makes sense. The second month was super similar, except this time I was taking 10% Eurycoma for 200 milligrams per day, which again, seemed to be very noticeable right at the beginning and then quickly came to baseline, and was what I knew as being normal. I actually doubled it up and I did 200 milligrams of both capsules, so the 10% and the 2%. But this time I did the 5 days on, 2 days off, and this was definitely my favorite dosing schedule. It's like the boost that I got only at the beginning of each time in the previous months kind of stayed and started at the beginning of each week. Now, how much did it increase my test? Well, here are my results. To start, I had a 2-week break from my previous video that I was supplementing zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D. So these were my starting levels of testosterone and other hormones. So starting straight off with LH, it went from 3.9 IUs per liter to 4.8, which is a small 23% increase. My estradiol, my estrogen, it went from 151, which is already on the high end, to an even higher 165, which is probably something that I wasn't too happy about, but something we'll talk about later on in the video. Then you can see my morning cortisol taken at 10 a.m. was 553 nmols per liter on the first day. And then at the end of the 3 months at 10:22 a.m. it was only 320. So there was a significant decrease in morning cortisol, which may or may not be a good thing. My SHBG, I would expect it to plummet, and that is what is meant to be the reason why free testosterone goes higher on Tongkat Ali, but it was about the same, 38 to 35. But even though it didn't decrease much, the ratio compared to my total testosterone, as you can see here, may be more important. It went from 479 nanograms per deciliter to 811 nanograms per deciliter, which is a 69% increase, which is pretty massive. And that brings us to the big daddy of testosterone, which is free testosterone. This is probably the most important thing that you want to increase in the body if you're looking to gain muscle. It went from 402 pmols per liter to 708 pmols per liter, which is a pretty huge 76% increase. So honestly, they were super surprising results. I definitely was not expecting that kind of bigger jump, especially after the previous month already increasing it by 97%. I wish I could afford to do the tests like every single week, every day, to be honest, but obviously it's just not realistic as they cost like $150 a pop. Another thing to understand is that I also took the last blood test on the Sunday, which means I hadn't taken Tongkat Ali for the Saturday or for the Sunday. That tells us that those parameters stay high even without taking the supplement, that day. Now, strength and hypertrophy wise, I wasn't specifically training for hypertrophy over the 3 months. My calories were pretty much at maintenance. So any visual changes you guys see in my body, it's just a bonus. And if you don't see any changes, well, now you know why. But you guys are free to get your own opinions on the images below. Strength wise, I definitely got stronger. How much stronger than if I didn't supplement Tongkat Ali? Not really sure. So my biggest strength gains are probably in my chin-ups. You can see here I was doing 5D5, which is 5 sets of 5 reps every minute on the minute, and I had 15 kilograms in my weight vest. And by the end of the 3 months, I was able to do 5D5, same thing again, but with 28 kilograms in my weight vest, pretty much maxing the weight vest out. So something I'm super happy about. Also, another lift that saw some pretty big gains was doing 5D5 shoulder press. This is again 5 sets, 5 reps every minute on the minute, and I was doing 35 kilos to start with. Then by the end of the 3 months, I was doing the same again, 5D5, but I was doing it at 50 kilos, which is a pretty big improvement. Even if I stop it here, you can see maybe some more muscularity in the shoulders. Like, I've never seen my shoulders look like this in my life. It could just be the lighting and the shadow kind of making it look bigger than it really is, but this was one image I saw while editing. I was like, oh wow, maybe, I did actually see some muscular improvements, but I'll still leave that to you guys to judge. I could continue showing you the different strength results, but more importantly is that I don't know, and no one will know exactly how much it would have increased if I had taken Tongkat Ali or if I hadn't. All I know is that the Tongkat Ali helped me train for longer. One of the main reasons I started this supplementing journey was because I wasn't able to finish my workouts. I was just feeling fatigued, tired, and just never felt up for it every time I was in the gym. But I can say after taking Tongkat Ali that it definitely felt like that effort was rewarded more, and I felt like being in the gym for longer, and that I was really going after something in the gym like you're supposed to feel, like I used to feel a couple of years ago. So I can definitely say that was a benefit. Now, libido. Libido is something that you would probably expect a crazy anecdote, like it was through the roof, but for me, it really wasn't. Maybe it went up like 20%, and 20% is probably a lot, like scientifically. If libido goes up 20%, that's probably massive, but for me, 20% off the ground didn't feel that high. I'm starting to think it might not be the testosterone in particular. Might be something else like estrogen. That's a little bit high, as you've seen in my blood test results. So maybe that's something I've got to look into in the future. I can still say that I had morning wood every single morning over the 3 months, which indicates healthy hormone functioning, but it's still something I really want to improve in the future. Now, the negatives. The main negative I noticed was the hair loss. Every single time I would try to comb my hair back, I noticed something which no one ever wants to see, and that was a bunch of hair in the comb. After reading a lot of different anecdotes, it doesn't seem to be a super common side effect, but it's common enough that people talk about it being a potential side effect of taking Tongkat Ali. Again, no one knows what it's from. Could be increased DHT, could be telogen effluvium, like I said before. It's not really known. I feel like it did start to subside by the end, so that would indicate that it's more a temporary thing. Yet, again, it's something you guys are going to have to test for yourself if you decide to go ahead and try it. Another negative was disruption in my sleep. Every single time I took it in the first 2 weeks, I was taking it at nighttime, and that was pretty detrimental because I was waking up at like 2, 3, 4 a.m. just out of nowhere and then feeling completely awake. It's like my body temperature had raised quite a lot earlier than it should have been, but it was quickly dealt with as I just started supplementing in the morning instead, and that completely seemed to solve the problem. So I definitely recommend taking it with some food in the morning. Now, should you supplement with Tongkat Ali? Well, it's your life. Do what you want. There aren't like a multitude of really good studies documenting all these increases. I would say that a majority of data is almost anecdotal. A lot of anecdata, let's say. This guy, he made a lot of valid points on a lot of the shortcomings in the studies, but it's something that's not going to be improved because no one's going to make any money doing more studies on Tongkat Ali because no one cares and there's no money to be made. If you have a look on the comments of his video saying that Tongkat Ali isn't that good because the studies suck and there's not really any evidence, every single comment on that video is an anecdotal report of how it increased their testosterone and boost their hormones and had a positive effect on their life. So take that how you want to. I think it is something that you should try, especially if you have low hormone levels at the moment, low testosterone levels, or you're an aging male that naturally is declining testosterone. It seems to work most effectively with you guys. So I definitely say try it if you want and see if you get the results you're looking for. Let me know down below if you've actually tried supplementing Tongkat Ali. I love to read everyone's experiences with it, and feel free to check out my previous hormone video, which was me increasing my testosterone 97% by supplementing magnesium, vitamin D, and zinc. See you in the comments.